Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, October 7th, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis, where we look at hotspots in the markets for the day. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me is Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. We've got Brian here again today. We'll see about tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know about tomorrow.
Brian's he's busy. Uh, Before we jump into it today, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk. It might not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please don't construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We're doing this for your education purposes. So the hotspots in the markets, probably not unfamiliar because they're the hotspots that we've been seeing lately. First, I am going to show we had yesterday oil inventory reports, and it is rather interesting. We told you keep an eye on what's going on with oil here in the United States. You can see that crude oil inventories, they were forecasting a slight drawdown, and instead we've got a fairly significant surplus. Not only that, you go down to the gasoline. They were expecting forecasting a small drawdown in gasoline. We've got lots of gasoline over here in the US. We've got a surplus. Now, that's rather interesting because that's not what's happening elsewhere in the globe. Now, oil did sell off from there. In fact, we had a sell off all day yesterday. There was this level that we had identified where we would probably see some basing, and we drew this out on yesterday's chart. Indeed, there was basing right there at that level where it took a pause, and then oil did what Brian refers to as a Harry Potter. I wanted to show this to you because this happened, over the night, in the middle of the night, where it based, it broke through the level, it came back and actually touched the level again as confirmation, and then went down. And why is it called Harry Potter? For no other reason than it looks like a lightning bolt. And that is a classic trade setup. Now, interestingly enough, after it sold off during in the overnight, as Europeans stepped into trading, it's made a complete recovery. And the interesting thing there is the situation is different. In the US is one situation, in Europe an entirely different situation, particularly in the UK. So we've got this dichotomy, a difference between what's happening regionally around supply on oil. After we talk about oil, we're going to jump over to natural gas because that's been making wild swings. And then we'll finish it up today by looking at equities, which are all currently looking to open approximately 1% in the green, which is kind of nice. So with that, Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you. I did a little bit of a longer intro because I wanted to talk about that Harry Potter trade, just because it's you got to trademark that if it weren't for J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, she's eventually going to send us a bill, and I'll be like, "Hey, Todd, he's the one that talked about it, not me. I just drew it." Yeah, accountability. So just again, quick update for everybody. May not be here tomorrow. Melissa actually started labor yesterday, although it has slowed a little bit. And again, water is not broken, so she's still here. The baby is still in.
If you hear her
joke with her,
scream,
like, "Hey,
though.
are you still pregnant? Are you still pregnant?" So that's a joke that she's still pregnant. But again, she saw the doctor yesterday and said maybe we'll see you tomorrow, meaning today. So again, if it is Todd, be nice to him tomorrow. I'll probably still dial in and be like, "Todd, don't forget oil," something like that. So like last time. God knows I can't take a day off.
From the delivery room.
Yeah, from the delivery room. I'll get myself a Kramer bite. Like, bye. It's like, okay, Brian says bye today. I don't know what he said, but anyway, yeah. So here's oil. We talked yesterday about on a purely fundamental basis. We expected price if it went through 77.44 to drop, and it did. It came through at base. You can see there's a little drawing in there. Actually, with my group afterwards, I was doing the 35-1 setup, and it did. It bounced right off of it. Even though we had huge supply, it went straight up in the air. It unfortunately didn't make it to a 1 to 3, but it made it to about a 1 to 2 in the first, minute and a half, 2 minutes. So again, very, very quick pop off of that. Now, after that, what we had drawn yesterday was a breakthrough, and we talked about having profit targets down here at 75. Next area, we'd really be looking for any type of a bounce. We mentioned it. Again, it was an old area of interest. It was a top here, peaked out, top here, base here, bottom here. Magically, it just happened to be at the bottom here again, right at that 4 o'clock, 4:30-ish window. So, the European session has really become really really like a non-factor right now. The reason why is because we had a big push down, and again, it's a pretty decent push. I mean, we're talking about a $2 move down, $2 move right back up again within the same session. So that's a lot of movement very, very fast in oil. So we'll see what it's doing. And again, looking at it right now, you can see that we are in a level. If I was going to draw, I'll just steal this one over here. We don't need this one anymore. Bring this across. You can see that we did have an area of basing, and again, that's where that European session trigger started. Now we're getting to the U.S. session trigger, and we're coming right back to the same area. So again, we tend to be a little bit more bullish with oil in the United States, particularly when it's a bearish UK session. But on a technical basis, again, it is a tested level during a UK-based session, so it probably is more looking for a red day today, or at least a red open. But again, who knows? All it takes is one media person saying that this is going to be an especially cold winter this year, and it's like, oh, let's go. As you saw in Todd pushed, it's not like we're running out of gas. There was a huge surplus. Yeah.
The UK doesn't, though. I do respect and appreciate their perspective because they've got an entirely different situation going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look to see who the driving factor, like who the big consumers are of oil, it's the United States and China. It's really what it boils back down to. And again, don't forget, we just had unemployment figures came in better than expected by about 25,000. So what we saw yesterday remember the employment situation is soft, is what we've been hearing. Transit inflation, right? It's like Dr. Eva with his quotes, right? The laser. Yesterday was huge. A lot more people getting hired. And then today we see that, about 25,000 less unemployment claims going in. So I don't know. Every time they say something is not real, it's like, oh, it's transient. Oh, the labor situation. I don't know. They're all getting better. I know gas. We got tons of it. We've had surplus the last 2 weeks in inventory reports. We have a ton of gas. Right? Pretty soon they're going to give gas away for free, but yet the price is high, again, based off of things like what OPEC says. So kind of one of those things that it's, again, it just shows you that a lot of the economic readings don't necessarily matter, that perception is more important than reality. And that's kind of what really boils back down to. And then natural gas is the same scenario. The reason why we bring natural gas up is here's the levels we talked about yesterday. We had that one at 57. You can see it dropped in and it just started to base and pulled back and based again. It's like, yep, it's breaking. It's breaking. And then we talked about the $5.38. And you can see we've kind of taken 2 bounces off of that right now. Now, it is a little bit early now, but don't forget later on today, let me switch this across, non-US. You can see right here at 10:30, we have the natural gas inventory. And by the way, it is also building. We're going over 100 right now with our supply, up to 104. Yet it's just, literally, it's been building, again, bigger. And we've watched this one go kind of from here in the beginning of September. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So there's that one. Right now, I would say I hate to say this, we're probably more on the bottom side of the curve where buyers are really stepped in the past. It's taken some bounces, so it's got some pre-movement in. But with where it is, it's kind of one of those things that you're probably a bit more, bullish biased. But the way to trade this one today is going to be to drop down to that 30-minute about 10 o'clock this morning Eastern time, and then drop it down into the 5-minute and then the 1 minute as we get closer and closer to the news release and see if it rallies. Yesterday with oil was very, very interesting. It did its stalling and stopping, and it did it. And then 5 minutes before, price shot right back up into a level before turning and shorting right back down again. And whenever you see that 5 minutes before that much movement, it was like 20, 30 cents, literally 5 minutes before, it says, oh, somebody knows something, right? Because if price needs to go higher very, very fast, it means people are getting ready to sell it. Because if you're going to sell something, you don't want it selling it really, really cheap. You want to sell it when it's really, really expensive.
So dropping down to those shorter, when you're going into those numbers, clearly having an idea using 30-minute charts is good. But as you get closer to the release, drop down to those 5 minutes. And then even as it goes into those 1-minute charts and look at those short duration binary options to try to trade those moves.
Yeah. And, again, big move. The same thing we did yesterday. You can do it over here in natural gas today. But yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on, and even just with the chop, but yeah, it turned out to be a really great day. They pushed it down, and the same way, we take that 8:30 window down to 14:30. You can see overall, whoops, not yellow, right there. What do we got here? A $3 day. $3 day. That's a big day. Yeah. Right. And again, we've already moved 2 right back up again. So we've kind of reset for the morning. But again, talking about a level of sellers, we're already starting to print a little bit of a red candle. So.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump over to the equities because we are looking to open pretty solidly into the green, which is nice.
Yeah, and I'll start off with the VIX. you guys remember we talked about the VIX yesterday being the volatility index. When it goes down, meaning it gets below 20 or even lower than that, the markets tend to go up because it removes some uncertainty and again, volatility from the market. We talked about being high on the curve. Again, we're not necessarily trading the VIX. There are ways to actually trade it. You can trade it in the options market. But we talked about being in the upper area. And again, the same curve that I draw on all the charts, I'm using it right here. 66.33. It was high. It literally spiked right at the open and then did nothing but pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. So again, it was one of those days where you expect it. The lower that goes, typically the higher that the markets go overall. Now the ES again, this one I actually had for a lot of the news yesterday. Drop it down to a 15. You can see when the news came out, there was a lot of craziness, and we talked about having that pullback. We talked about yesterday being a green day, but we needed that pullback at the open. So the open was right here, right? This one ended up not only touching high, but came all the way back again, bouncing right up that 43.15. So it really doesn't matter how you would have traded this one. Whether you went long or short off the open, it did actually go in both directions and then really just flatline until about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon after lunch, and then finally decided to continue with its pattern, higher. But the open was pretty choppy yesterday. And again, when you're looking at down here, we talked about these the two different areas about pulling back and where to take it from. And again, nice hit on the top, nice hit on the bottom. Either way would have worked. It was a 1 to 3 in both directions. Actually, I think was it NQ. YM
Yeah,
is the one
actually,
I
and I
think
want
it
to
drew.
show the NQ because it's
Yeah,
really kind of fascinating what we
yeah.
had discussed yesterday. I'm not changing my chart here. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I'm going to play with this one.
You can do
Give
it.
me
Yeah,
one second here.
I've dropped down to a 5 minute just so you guys know. But again, you guys can see in all these ended up hitting it. So yes, there were shorts at the open in every single one of these positions, and then it ended up going higher for the day. So
Yep. Now,
that's why I'm
but
saying.
this is another an example of Harry Potter, and we did have the Fibonacci's on there yesterday. And if you recall, early in the week, we made that massive move down, and we just put the Fibonacci retracements on. Uh, After that essentially a parabolic sell-off. It had come all the way back, and then it worked its way back down, but it didn't go all the way back down. It went down to that 24% level, and we said watch the 76% level now to the upside as it started to sort of collapse in on its chart. And indeed, it actually hit that 76 level, pulled back, and then took off again. And that would be if you draw this on the chart. Give me a second here. Point to point. This was off that 24% level, back up just above the 76% level. It makes its pullback, point to point, down below, and then it took off. And it just took off. There we go. Now we're gonna have to rearrange our charts. These Fibonacci retracement levels. I mean, we've now blown through it to the upside, and it still does measure the other direction. Interestingly enough, and it got very close to the 162% all the way on the top side. So it is rather interesting how you do see some of these patterns recurring, and other people are looking at that. So it could help it's just something else to contribute into. It's not necessarily what would drive your trading decision, but it certainly could help based on other factors as well. All right,
Yeah, and one thing I would say yesterday we talked about 14,900 being a level that we'd watch for potential sellers because we saw a pretty decent area in the past.
And there it is.
We hit it. Look, we got front run. We hit it again, and now it's forming a basing level, which typically is like, oh, that's a good thing. It tells us that this level is probably not the best short. Well, you can see in the overnight already around 7 o'clock, it popped through base and pulled back again. And if you guys know where this dotted line is, that's 15,000. So we're 75 points away from it right now.
Does it want to get to the even number? Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah, I mean VIX is crashing on everything, and 1 to 3 puts us right at 15,000.
Isn't that interesting? Huh. So there, see, it all kind of comes together. There's things, again, no trading recommendations, but things to be looking for this morning on the open. All right, do you want to take a look at we did the Nasdaq. I know you looked at the S. Anything you're seeing in the Dow or the Russell? Are they all looking the same?
No, I mean it's kind of the same side. Up potential. There's not really. I mean, the only news that we have for the inventory report today is going to be from the Canadian government. So again, that's not going to necessarily affect any of the ES or anything else. I would say they're all approaching levels where, again, right here we're 4 points away from 4,400. That's going to come up. We've seen sellers come in. So, like I said, drop it down, see what kind of basing we get. I'd like to see what type of basin we get the 15 minutes before that 9:15 to 9:30 candle. Almost every single day, there's been a great setup with those short duration contracts. I don't think today will be any different, and they're all set up in a pretty good way. Besides that, currency market is pretty much flat right now. There was no news in the overnight that was really anything noteworthy. Euro is at like 0.01% or 0.02%. Dollar Swiss is minus 0.01. Dollar yen is 0.05. So again, there's not really a whole lot of currency news out there. And then again, just to recap, gold and silver, they're both down 0.5%, but we're really still just channeling sideways. There's
Channeling.
gold,
Yeah, a
and
lot of channeling.
there's silver. They're still they get out, and you're like, that's it, and then pull right back. So
You
still
know,
no clear direction for them.
there are strategies you can do with binary options, looking for it to stay within a
Mhm.
range. Trying and I know that there's some out there. I think we need to do a session probably on that, because you could do strategies with binary options. If you think it's going to be volatile and it's going to blow out of a range, there's things you can do, and if you think it's going to stay in a range, there's things you can do.
Yeah.
All right. With
Even the
that,
pound is quiet in the overnight. So
yeah. With that, any questions for Nadex? Please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian or congratulatory remarks? You can email Brian at support@keeptradingsimple.com. And certainly, I want to be the first to say I hope everything goes very, very smoothly and that everything goes well. It's an exciting time, uh, a new mouth to feed at any moment.
not for me for a while. I'm good. I think Melissa says 1 year, and then I can feed him.
Oh, there you go. Hey, that's fine. You're still gonna have to change some diapers, though. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, yeah. The other one just got out. So I'm good.
All right. With that, we will catch you again tomorrow morning, or at least I will catch you tomorrow morning for sure. And we'll see if Brian's available. And with that, want to wish everyone good luck in the markets.